Go on live.
4. All right.
My name is Ana Santos, and from the 8 elements of thoughts, I got purpose. And my 2 points are in purpose is your goal, your objective, what you're trying to accomplish. And the second point in my 8 elements of thought is why is this case study treatment plan being developed? Like we have to have a purpose in order to start any goal, any objective where we're trying. And that's mine.
Nobody has question, right?
I don't think so.
Or information?
Should one of us go over this?
Information? Is that the next one?
Question.
Yeah, question.
Okay, so question. It's basically like whenever you have a problem to solve, you just state the question of what you need to solve, and then that kind of like is like the beginning of the train of thought. If you have the question, you'll be able to figure out how to go from there. Since if you don't have it from the beginning, then you don't have it like a base.
Okay. Information.
I also have information. So the information is like the facts, data, what your like hard copy stuff that you need in order to have what you would need is to answer the question. So if you don't have sources, it's hard to prove your point. So information is just making sure that you have those sources to answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Cassia McDuffie. I have interpretation and inference. To infer something is to take prior knowledge that you have about a subject and to come to a conclusion or create your own interpretation of something. So, for example, in hearing all of the evidence, the judge was able to infer that the defendant was guilty. So he was able to come to a conclusion that with all of the evidence that he heard or saw, that the defendant in the case was guilty.
That was a good example.
Thank you.
Does anybody have concept?
Somebody has concepts?
Concepts.
Or how many people have concept?
Who does have concepts?
Anybody have concept? Maybe not. I guess. Okay, so moving on to assumptions.
Okay, I have assumptions. My name is Blanca. So an assumption is something we take for granted or something that we think all reasoning begins with assumptions. When we think, we must assume certain things to be true without any real proof that they are. We build our own thinking upon assumptions. It is important to remember that point of view includes assumptions, but those assumptions are about the world wide. In the elements of thought, we look at assumptions as beliefs upon which we base the logic of what is being reasoned about. What we accept without proof but believe to be true. They are let's suppose that statements that are taken to be fact. Assumptions can be also self-evidently true and does not need to be proved. That what is obviously in the case can be basis for a solid reasoning. When we think critically, we start from assumptions and move to what we know for sure, or we can start from what we know and move assumptions. When assumptions are proven to be true, then they become information. Assumptions are what we presume without evidence. The stronger the assumption, the stronger the thinking. Let's see, I have an example, I think. So for example, if we believe that it is dangerous to walk late at night in big cities and we are staying in Houston, we will fear that it is dangerous to go for a walk late at night. We take for granted our belief that it is dangerous to walk late at night in big cities. If our belief is sound, one, our assumption is sound. If our belief is not sound, our assumption is not sound. Beliefs and hence assumptions can be unjustified or justified depending upon whether we do or do not have good reasons for them. And that's it.
Okay, and mine's next. It's implications and consequences. And so implications are basically, they follow from our thoughts, while consequences follow from our actions. And so basically, I guess, two examples of what that would be is if I decide to do or not to do X, what would happen from that? Like, what would be the consequence that follows through, or what would be the implications that follow through from our thoughts or actions? Like, basically, like what we decide or not decide to do has a part to do with that. And also, what is likely to happen if I did this versus that? Like, you think of all your options, and then what's going to follow through, like what will happen depending on our choice of that. Mm-hmm. That's about it.
Okay.
That's a good one.
I have point of view, and the point of view is, it says in the text, literally like where you're viewing the situation from, the place. So, for example, if I was looking at the lake or something, I could view it from one angle and then move to another side of the lake and view it from a different angle, and I would get a different perspective or point of view. So some things to consider when you are trying to decide your point of view would be, ask yourself, how are you looking at the situation, and is there another way that you can look at it? And also ask, like, what is the main focus that you're trying to do, and how are you seeing it? Also consider other all possible point of views, for example, like other cultures or other fields of study, perhaps. And is there other, this one's kind of hard to explain. Like if you're having a difficulty looking at the situation, is there a way that you can also do it in which you would disagree or agree on? So that's it. I don't know where to. Oh, I guess we can introduce the acronym.
Oh, yeah. Hey, can I add one thing to mine, though, really quick? I just thought of an example, because I'm like, what would be a good example of implication and consequence? Has anyone seen the movie Matrix?
No.
Well, like, in the Matrix, Morpheus, like, gives the guy the option, the red pill or the blue pill. And one of them's, like, if he wants to just return to normal life and, not remember anything. And the other pill's, like, if he wants to actually see, like, what's, I guess, like, in the other world, like, what else he can find. So based on his thoughts, like, what's going to happen, like, he had two different choices. That's what I thought about. I was like, man, that's a good idea. Put on the spot. I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the acronym.
Also, one last thing I believe for concept would be, concept is another name for idea. So if you have a concept, say, the 8 elements of thought, that's an idea that there are many ideas, there are many points of view, there are many purposes, questions, there's lots of information, interpretations, and inferences, assumptions, implications, and consequences. And it's important to not only grasp each concept within its original faction, but it's also important to see them as a whole. So sometimes concepts like this or ideas like this can be hard to grasp of what it means, but all in all, once you think about it, it can be easier, especially with discussion. And so, yeah, I believe that wraps everything up.
Mm-hmm. You want to go over our acronym?
Yeah, okay. I have it down somewhere. Okay, so we came up with the acronym to basically just as like a sentence to remember. I guess is that an actual acronym? Or
Yep.
Right?
Yep, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Like with letters.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know. But anyways, so our sentence to make sure or to cover or to remember, a good catchy way to remember, I guess. Like you used to remember the planets. My very educated mother used to serve us 9 pizzas.
Math.
Or whatever.
Math.
Just served us 9 pizzas. So our way to remember all the 8 elements, so our sentence is instilling cultural awareness in people promotes quality interaction. That would be I for information, C for concept, awareness for assumptions, N for interpretation and inference, and then people would be point of view, and promotes would also be purpose, and quality would be the question, and the other I is implication. That covers everything, right?
Yep.
That's it.
Okay. So we stop the recording. Let's see what it does. I hope we don't lose it.